Welcome to the viewers for the lecture in the subject structural analysis. So in this lecture we will take up analysis of multi-storied building frames. Now this topic can be considered under structural analysis, can be considered under building frame analysis by in the subject RCC or in the subject steel. It is common to all subjects, right? Now we will consider under the category of structural analysis. So we have included this topic in our structural analysis book volume 2 as chapter number 10 if I am correct, right? Now this is lecture number 116. So we will take up Karthi down. Now we will, yeah. Right. Thank you. Right. Now the methods that we are going to discuss are substitute frame method, Connie's method. Of course, now we are going to discuss only substitute frame method, and then software. These are the methods available for the analysis of building frames. Now building frames, nowadays we have multi-storied, multi-bay buildings. Now we have gone up to buildings of height 1 kilometer. So now building frames will be of number of bays, 100 bays, 160 floors, 200 stories, like that we have just gone. Right. Now analyzing these buildings by classical methods is possible. So the building can be analyzed either by using softwares, or there are some approximate methods. So coming to the approximate methods, one is for vertical loads and the other one is for horizontal loads. So if the building is to be analyzed for vertical loads, we can make use of substitute frame method. If the building is to be analyzed for horizontal loads, it can be done by portal method, cantilever method, or factor method. So these are rapid and approximate method of analysis, right? The other one is Connie's method. So Connie's method, in a single cycle we will be able to analyze the whole building. So Connie's method is iterative technique. So this is also very useful for the analysis of building frames. The third one is that of softwares. So we now in this lecture we are going to discuss rapid and approximate method, then namely substitute frame method for buildings subjected to vertical loading, right? Now introduction. Building frames by substitute frame method. We know a multi-storied, multi-paneled building is a complicated, indeterminate structure. The building frame is subjected to both vertical loads and horizontal loads, as we have discussed just now. The analysis of a multi-story building is a very complex and cumbersome work, very difficult work, because the frame consists of number of continuous beams and columns. However, whatever may be the number of stories, whatever may be the number of panels, with certain assumptions, it is possible to analyze the frames and get the results that is quite satisfactory from design point of view. It is possible. We make some assumptions. With that assumptions, whatever result we get will be enough for design purposes. Many buildings have been constructed using this two-cycle moment distribution or substitute frame analysis, right? Now substitute frames. Now a substitute frame is a frame consisting of the beams at that floor level. If you want to analyze a particular story or particular floor, so the floor slab of that, the floor slab and beam of that, with columns above and columns below, that is called a substitute frame. We are going to discuss subsequently. Right. Now, before discussing about the definition of substitute frame, there are certain assumptions. One is the effect of loading on the span upon other spans is much smaller. Suppose if a building is of 10 panels, say 10 stories, whatever it may be, the loading on the second span will not be felt much in the fifth panel or sixth panel. That is the meaning of this. The effect of loading on the span upon other spans is much smaller. Right. So with this assumption, what we are going to discuss, we will discuss. Right. Now, the moments in any beam or column are mainly due to the loads on the spans very close to it. If you analyze the panel number 5, the load on panel number 4 or panel number 3 will affect the bending moment on panel number 5, or panel number 6 and panel number 7. Panel number 8 will not cause any effect. Panel number 9 will not cause any effect. That is the meaning of this. The moments in any beam or column are mainly due to the loads on the spans very close to it. Right. Then the loads on distant spans do not have appreciable effect. Same point. Loads on distant spans do not have appreciable effect. Now, a small portion of the frame called substitute frame is considered for the analysis instead of analyzing the whole frame. If it is a 10 panel, 10 storied building, we need not take entire thing. You take only a small frame called a substitute frame. In the floors also we will not take all the frames, and panels also we will not consider all the panels. So with some assumptions we are going to do this analysis. So this is found to be accurate enough for practical purpose. And moments carried from one floor, the floor to floor through columns are very small in comparison to the beam moments. So the moment that is occurring in column of floor number 4 will not be transferred to the floor number 3 or floor number 2. In beam it will be getting transferred, whereas the moments from floor to floor through columns are very small. In comparison to the beam moments. That is, the moments in one floor have negligible effects on the moments of the floors above or the floors below. Loads will be transferred. Loads will, from top to bottom, the load will get transferred. So 100th floor will transmit the load to the 99th floor, 199 will transfer the load to the 98th floor. That is there, but coming to moments, right. Then, therefore, a substitute frame. Now this is the definition for substitute frame. Substitute frame consisting of one floor connected above and below with their far ends hinged. So depending upon the end condition, it can be hinged, or it can be fixed, or it can be partially restrained. That is considered for the analysis. Generally, we consider the far ends to be, unless some special case is given, generally we treat the far ends fixed. That floor, columns above, columns below, the far ends of the columns are generally treated as fixed. Right. Now that is called a substitute frame. So a substitute frame is a frame consisting of that floor with the columns above, columns below, with far ends being fixed. That's all. Treated as fixed. Right. Now, as I told earlier, we are not going to consider all the panels. So two adjacent spans on either side of a joint or a member is generally considered for analysis, sufficient for the analysis. That is, if you want to analyze for a moment in the third column from the left, so two spans on the left hand side and two spans on the right hand side. There may be number of panels. The panels may be 20 panels. For analyzing a particular column, moment in a particular column, we consider two spans on the left hand side and two spans on the right hand side. Or if you want to find out the maximum bending moment, positive or negative, in a span, in a beam, right? Maximum positive or maximum negative moment. So that span plus two spans on either side will be considered for the analysis. Other things can be just omitted when we consider a particular panel, right? So two adjacent spans on either side of a joint or a member is generally considered to be sufficient for the analysis. So suppose if you are analyzing a beam for maximum midspan moment, that span plus two spans on either side. So totally maximum 5 spans will be considered. Suppose if it is for a joint, two spans on the left hand side, two spans on the right hand side alone will be considered for the analysis. Other things need not be considered because we know the loads on other spans, third span, fourth span, fifth span, etc., will not have that much effect in the particular span. Right. The substitute frame gives the results that are safe for all practical purposes. It is considered to be safe for all practical purposes. So that is why it is considered to be sufficient for results for the design. Any design, practical design, this is considered to be sufficient, and many analyses are being done using substitute frame method. Now also, not only this is the accuracy given by this is sufficient enough for the design, therefore it is considered in the design of buildings. Also, the results obtained by the analysis can always be adopted as a rapid check on the results by the computers. We do the analysis by computers, using computers. But some of us just feed the data and get the results without knowing, because there are so many points that are considered. What is the order in which you have to give the data? What about the units? You have to allot same units for all properties. And there will be some characters that will be allotted for the storage. So only knowing all these factors, considering the units, considering the boundary condition, considering the material properties and their units, if everything is given properly in a particular order, including the boundary conditions, etc., the results that you obtain will be reasonable or accurate. If we give some wrong data somewhere, we will get some results, but it will be of no use. So for at least for checking that nowadays, since mostly we are using softwares, so for checking the results by the software, we can make use of two-cycle moment distribution, because any floor, any panel we can take and do the analysis. So for random check also we can just make use of it. So practically this is considered to be sufficient for design purposes. Also the results can be used for checking the results by the computers. So the widely used moment distribution method is also approximated, because for the analysis we can use slope deflection method, we can use moment distribution method, we can use column analogy method, or we can use Kani's method also. But now here we are going to mostly use moment distribution method. That moment distribution method also we will not be doing up to the end, because we know in moment distribution balancing carryover will be continuously doing till the values become negligibly small, 0.04, 0.3, like that. Now here that is also simplified. you stop only with 2 cycles, 2 balancing, 2 carryovers, that's all. And sometimes the carryover even carryovers will be done only to the ends, even that will not glaringly be seen. So 2 distribution and 2 balancing and 1 carryover, or sometimes 2 carryovers, or in general 2 distribution and 2 carryovers. So that is what is done. That is why it is called a 2 cycle moment distribution method, and that is considered to be sufficient. So the widely used moment distribution method is also approximated. We employ what is known as 2 cycle moment distribution method, which terminates the iterative process after 2 carryovers and 2 balancings. Whatever the accuracy we get after 2 iterations, we are satisfied. Right. That is about the substitute frame method. And so we know now we are going to take a particular frame, columns above and columns below. Even in that particular floor, we will not be considering the entire span. We'll, for the column moment means 2 spans on the left hand side, 2 spans on the right hand side. So we will be considering 4 spans. If it is for a beam, suppose if you analyze for positive moment and negative moment in a beam, so that beam plus 2 spans on the left hand side, 2 spans on the right hand side will alone be considered for the analysis. And we are going to make use of moment distribution method. In moment distribution method also, we are going to stop with 2 cycles of moment distribution. And there are some more simplifications in the calculations that we will discuss later. And then now we have discussed only 2 spans and so many things we have discussed, but regarding the loading we have not discussed. So for a particular moment at a particular point, what are the spans that are to be loaded? All those things. Instead, now we have to discuss all those things now. And again, we are going to make use of the same concept in the problems. So instead of discussing those concepts now, we will straight away take up a numerical example. Through the numerical example, we will discuss all these points. Right. So next, we will straight away take up numerical example. Right. So this is the problem. A multi-storied building consists of 5-storied 3-bay frames. 5-storied 3-bay frames. But the buildings will be consisting of 20 bays, 25 bays, 40 bays, 100 bays. Similarly, in the stories also we know. Right. So here, for understanding the procedure, understanding the concept, we will take a simple problem consisting of 5 stories and 3 bays. And so these frames are spaced at 4 meters center to center. That is 5-storied we know, and 3-bay means there will be 4 columns. 4 columns, 3 bays we can say. So this is one frame. 5-storied and 3-bay frame. Now these frames are spaced at 4 meters center to center. So what we are going to see is the cross section of one frame. That frame will be at a spacing of 4 meters center to center. So because this particular point will be necessary for understanding the load calculation. That is why I am stressing. Right. So we consider one frame. So similarly, frames will be at 4 meters center to center. Right. Live load on the floor slab is 3 kilonewton per square meter. We will discuss again. Just remember only the values. 3 kilonewton per square meter, and dead load is 3.5 kilonewton per square meter. Better to introduce now itself. Suppose live load on the floor slab is 3 kilonewton per square meter, means in the building frame, when we consider 1 meter length of the beam, the frames are spaced at 4 meters center to center. So if you consider a particular frame, half the span on the other side, right? On the other side and half the span in this side. 2 meters on that side and 2 meters on this side will transfer the load to 1 meter length of the beam. So 1 meter length into 4 meters area into 3. So that will be the load per meter run. So with this, we'll just take up the calculations later. Now, the spans of the beam from left to right are, so there are 3 bays. So first bay 7 meters from left it is 7 meters. Second bay 6 meters. Third bay 5 meters. So 7, 6, 5. So totally the total width of the bay will be 13 plus 5, 18 meters, right? And the story height is 4 meters. So story height 4 meters means 5-storied building. So 5 into 4, 20 meters. 5 stories. Now, moment of inertia of beams is 1.5 times that of the columns. So before proceeding further, we will see the cross section of a frame. We'll just this is the frame. This is the frame. So the left this bay 7 meters, this bay 6 meters, this is 5 meters. So 5 stories, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So each 4 meters height. So this is one frame. Similarly, the frames are spaced at 4 meters center. So suppose if this is say at the left end. So to the right end you got number of frames. Left end, this is one frame, next frame, next frame, next frame. The frames are spaced at 4 meters center to center, because we can understand the structure and we have to understand the structure. Unless we understand the structure, we do not know how to do the load calculations, because that is very, very important. So that is why I have shown the figure first, right? Also before proceeding further, also I have to show what is a substitute frame. Now let us say that we are going to analyze the frame ABCD. Now this is the substitute frame. This is ABCD, columns above 4 meters, column below 4 meters. We generally treat the far ends fixed. Unless some specific point about the end conditions are given, we need not bother whether it is hinged or whether it is partially fixed, etc. Unless it is mentioned. So we treat the far ends fixed. So this is the frame that we are going to consider for the analysis, because we have been given only with a 3-bay frame. So this will analyze. So these are all the background details that are required for understanding the problem, right? So this is the frame, and this frame is spaced at 4 meters center to center. This is frame number 1. Frame number 2 will be at 4 meters away. Frame number 3 will be at 8 meters away, like that. So why I am repeating this point is, suppose if you want to analyze the beam AB, suppose if it is some intermediate panel, so 2 meters on this side, that is half of 4. 2 meters on that side, that is half of 4, will transfer 2 meters on this side, 2 meters on that side of the slab, will transfer the load to one beam AB. Right, one beam. Right. Now coming back to the problem, because we have not completed the problem. So 4 meters. Right. Now we have seen the columns and also the beams. Moment of inertia of the beams is 1.5 times that of the column. It is given data. Moment of inertia of the beam is 1.5 times that of the columns. Here again, one more point. We have to approximately assume the dimensions, because many people are not aware of this point. How to assume the preliminary dimension for a beam, how to assume the preliminary dimension for a column. Of course, in the analysis problem it will be given 1.5 times 1.8 times like that it will be given. We can do the problem. But when you want to analyze and design a building frame, one must know how to apply, what are the thumb rules available for assuming the tentative dimension for a column, tentative dimension for a beam. So this one must know. So we have to assume, and then, because without this moment of inertia, without assuming the dimensions, we cannot find out the moment of inertia. We will not be able to find out whether it is 1.5 times or 1.8 times. So this is a basic requirement for a civil engineer, right? Now in an analysis problem it is given, that's all. So moment of inertia of beam, we have to assume the dimensions, find out the moment of inertia of the beam, find out the moment of inertia of the column, find out the ratio, that we have to do it. Right. Now here moment of inertia of the beams is 1.5 times that of the moment of inertia of the columns. So self weight of the beams is 3.5 kilonewton per meter. So we have got three loads. One is live load on the slab, the other one is dead load on the slab, 3.5, plus the self weight of the beam is 3.5 meter. Right. The load calculation will do it subsequently. Right. Determine the maximum moments at the salient points in a typical substitute frame. Adopt two-cycle moment distribution method. Sketch the bending moment diagrams. Not only sketching, if it is a design problem, we have to design the RCC beams, RCC columns for these moments. If it is steel, you have to design steel beams, steel columns, etc. So that is what is required. Right. Now coming to the solution, spacing of the frames. Now let us consider the second floor for the analysis. We have seen in the figure. Consider 1 meter length of the beam ABCD. AB is 7 meters, BC is 6 meters, and CD is 5 meters. Let us consider 1 meter length of the beam. Now half span slab load on either side will be transferred to the beam. Namely, self weight of the beam is 3.5, live load, dead load. This is what is given in the problem. Self weight 3.5, self weight of the beam, live load and a dead load. Right. So this is substitute frame. Here, this calculation, yes, dead load of slab per meter. The dead load is given as 3.5 kilonewton per square meter, dead load. So when you consider 1 meter length of the beam, 1 meter length into 4 meters width of the slab, 2 meters on either side. So 4 meters width of the slab will transfer the load to 1 meter length of the beam. So 1 into 4, 2 plus 2, that is the area. The load that is given is 3.5 kilonewton per square meter. See here, once again we will see the load that is given is 3.5 kilonewton per square meter into area is 1 into 4. So that is about the loading. This is the slab load, dead load, and also self weight of beam, that is already given as 3.5 kilonewton per meter. That is the self weight of the beam, that itself is given as 3.5 kilonewton per meter. So this is the load from the slab, this is a beam, so 17.5 kilonewton per meter. Therefore this is the dead load per meter run, 17.5 kilonewton per meter run. Live load is given as again 1 meter length into 4 meters width of the slab, 4 meters. So 1 into 4 is the area of the slab per meter length of the beam into 3 kilonewton per square meter. Live load is given as 3 kilonewton per square meter. So 3 into 1 into 4 will be the load. So this is the say live load. So live load is 12 dead load is 17.5. Now, due to this, we have to find out the fixed end moments. So, in the moment distribution method, we will start with the determination of fixed end moments. So, we will just do the calculations and take it to the table. 17.5, this is due to the dead load. Due to the dead load, because later we will be applying only dead load on a particular span and live load on some other spans. Of course, regarding the pattern of loading we will discuss subsequently. Right? When it is subjected to only dead load, if it is the span AB, it is 17.5 into 7 square by 12, WL square by 12. If it is 6 meter span, 17.5 into 6 square by 12. If it is 5 meter span, 17.5 into 5 square by 12. This is due to the dead load only. So, we will discuss subsequently that the spans will be either loaded with dead load only or dead load plus live load, because we cannot avoid dead load. Dead load will always be there on all the spans. Either it will be with the dead load only or dead load plus live load. Dead load plus live load means 17.5 plus 12 plus 12, that is 29.5. So again, if it is 7 meter span, 29.5 into 7 square by 12. So this is the value. Similarly for 6 meters and 5 meters. Right? Because different values will be required for different cases. So that is why we just tabulate these values and later we will directly use it. So this is about the dead load. For all the spans, dead load is same. Live load is also same. Sometimes this will vary because they will give, suppose if you are going to vary the size of the beam for different spans. Now here it is throughout 3.5, no problem. Suppose if the size of the beam in AB, BC and CD are different, then the self weight will be different. So when the self weight is different, the 17.5 will not be same for all the spans. Therefore, that we have to keep it in mind. Here it is, throughout it is given as uniform value. Therefore, 29.5 is the total load. Now, we have to find out either the fixed end moment only due to dead load, 17.5. If it is only due to dead load, these are the values. Just now we have calculated. So, we have calculated in terms of kilonewton meter. Now, here it is in terms of Newton meter. Newton meter. Similarly, the live load plus dead load, total load is 29.5. So 29.5 into 7 square by 12 is this value. So one is due to the dead load only, the other one is due to the total load. So these values we are going to use in all problems, repeatedly we are going to use. But which span is to be loaded with the dead load, which span is to be loaded with the total load, we have not discussed earlier, we are going to discuss now. Right. Now, before that, we have to find out the distribution factors. Before going to the moment distribution, we have to find out the distribution factors. So, for calculating distribution factor, this is the substitute frame, because we have decided to analyze the second floor, A, B, C, D. Right. So, AB 7 meters, BC 6 meters and so on. And this is the column above and the column below. We are going to analyze only the substitute frame, whatever may be the number of stories, we need not bother. Right. So this is the substitute frame. And it is given that the moment of inertia, the beams are 1.5 times the moment of inertia of the columns. So this is I, this is 1.5 I. Right. Now there are 4 joints in this problem. So joint A, joint B, C and D. So for all these 4 joints, we have to find out the distribution factors. So here the relative stiffness. The relative stiffness for when the far end is fixed, relative stiffness is I by L. When the far end is fixed or whether the far end is continuous, it is I by L. So when we consider joint A, there are 3 members. For member A1, the relative stiffness is I by L. For the member AA2, the relative stiffness is I by L. For the member AB, the relative stiffness is equal to 1.5I by 7 meters. This is I by 4, I by 4, I by L. So for this, it is 1.5I by 7. 1 point. Similarly, we need not come back to the figure again. We'll just discuss one more case. Suppose we take joint B. There are 4 members, BA, B1, B2, and BC. There are 4 members. For all the 4 members, we have to find out the distribution factors. So distribution factor calculation, we know we have to find out the relative stiffness. Relative stiffness for member BA is 1.5I by 7. Relative stiffness for the member BB1 is I by 4 meters. Relative stiffness for member BC is 1.5I by 6 meters. The relative stiffness for the member BB2 is I by 4 meters. So, relative stiffness for 4 members. We have to find out the sum of the relative stiffness values. So, sum of all these 4 values or 3 values at A, we have to just find out. Then, the relative stiffness of that member divided by the sum of the stiffness will give the distribution factor. So that we have learnt in moment distribution method, right? So with this introduction, I will not come back to this figure again. So I think the viewers can easily remember. Yes, this is at joint A. We have got 3 members, AA1, AB, AA2. Relative stiffness, relative stiffness, relative stiffness. I by L, I by L, I by L. So the sum of these 3 is this value, I by 4 plus 1.5 I by 7 plus I by 4. So simplifying, we get 5 I by 7. Right. I by 4 by 5I by 7 will be the distribution factor for the member A1A. Then 1.5I by 7 divided by 5I by 7 is the distribution factor for the member AB. And similarly, I by 4 by this value will be the related. So we find out the distribution factor for all the 3 members meeting at the joint A. 0.35, 0.3, 0.35. We know that the sum of distribution factors at a joint is equal to 1. It satisfies 0.35, 0.35, 0.7 plus 0.3 equal to 1. Similarly, at joint B, there are 4 members. There are 4 members. So this already we have discussed. So we need not to repeat. For the relative stiffness for members BA, B1, BC, and so the I values and L values we know. So we find out the relative stiffness values. Then the sum of all these 4 values equal to 27I by 28. Then 1.5, the distribution factor for the member BA is the relative stiffness for the member is 1.5I by 7 divided by 27 by 28I. So that is equal to 0.2222. Similarly, we find out the values for all the 4 members meeting at the joint B. Similarly, at C also there are 4 members. Say on the same lines, we find out the distribution factors. Similarly, at D, we have 3 members. We have 3 members. So for all the 3 members, we find out the distribution factor. Because for AB, the span is 7 meters. For BC, the span is 6 meters. For CD, the span is 5 meters. So the values will be different. Values will be different. Actually, this title should come to at the top of the table, namely joint, member, relative stiffness, total stiffness, and a distribution factor. Distribution factor equal to distribution factor to a member equal to the relative stiffness of that member divided by total stiffness. Total stiffness is calculated here. Total stiffness is calculated in the 4th column. This is column number 1, 2, 3. In the 4th column, we got the total stiffness. In the 3rd column, we have got the relative stiffness. So this is the standard tabulation. Actually, this should come at the top. So I have not done it. That is why I have just written at the bottom and taken to the top. Taken to the top. Right. So this is how we have to find out the distribution factor. So we have so far learnt what is substitute frame, what is two cycle moment distribution, calculation of fixed random moments. The load calculation is very important, load per meter, and that is very important, and the calculation of distribution factor. These are all only basics. Still we have not entered into the real two cycle moment distribution method. Right. Now, this is one loading. Let us start with the moment in the columns. Moment in the columns. Now here, this is the loading for maximum negative moment at A. Maximum negative bending moment at A. For maximum negative bending moment at support A, what we have to do is, we have to load the adjacent span with the live load, because dead load will be there over all the spans. We cannot avoid. Dead load will be there on span A, B, B, C, and so on. But where to apply the live? Live load will be applied on the adjacent span. That is, the span AB will be loaded with the live load and a dead load. Span BC only with the dead load. Span CD is there, but in the case of joints or beams also, we will consider only two spans. Now this is a joint, therefore we have to consider the span AB and BC only. We are not going to bother about CD now. Therefore forget about CD. There will be dead load, but that is not necessary for our analysis. So we consider only two spans on either side. On the left hand side there is no span. There is no beam. We are given, or we are asked to analyze only a 3-bay frame. So when you analyze joint A, there is no span on the left hand side, forget about it. Consider only AB and BC. AB with the live load and dead load, and BC with the dead load only. So this is one case. Similarly, suppose if you want to analyze for the moment at joint B, for negative moment at joint B, negative moment at column B. Here, if you want to analyze, again, adjacent spans are to be loaded with the live load. So, BA is adjacent span, BC is also adjacent span. So, they will be loaded with the live load and a dead load. And the next span, we will consider, when we want joint B, we will take two spans on either side. So on the right hand side, we will consider BC and CD, but CD will be loaded only with the dead load. CD will be loaded only with the dead load. So this is the loading. Right, this is a loading. Similarly, this is for C. For C. If we discuss these things later, we need not spend time on this. Therefore, for columns we will discuss, then beams we will take it up later. Right. So, for joint C, the adjacent spans are CB and CD. So, CB and CD will be loaded with the live load and the dead load. Then the next span, so BA will be loaded only with the dead load. Only with the dead load. Right. Now, we have one more joint. One more joint, we will take it up later. So that is joint D. For joint D, the span CD will be loaded with live load. CB will be loaded with the dead load only. We will not bother about the span BA. That we are going to discuss subsequently, not now. Right. So this is how the different members are to be loaded for negative moment at joints A, B, C and D. Right. Similarly, we have to learn for positive moment at midspan of a beam, for negative moment midspan of a beam, and then moment in columns, etc. For everything, the loading will be different. So that we have to understand. We are discussing those things through problems directly. Right. Right. Next point, this is one point. This is about the loading. About the loading. Next, coming to the analysis. Coming to the analysis, we know that we are going to consider only two spans on either side. The number of base or the number of panels may be 25, whatever it may be. If you are analyzing panel number 17, you consider panel number 16, 15, on the other side 18 and 19. Don't bother about other spans. Right. That is for beam moments. If it is column moments, two spans on either side, or support moment, two spans on either side. Joint, left of the joint two spans, right of the joint two spans, that's all. If it is for the moment at joint C or joint B, adjacent spans are to be loaded with the live load. Other spans will be loaded only with the dead load, limiting our span to 2 on either side only. That's all. 2 on either side. So this we have to be thorough. Right. Now we will analyze for moment distribution for negative bending moment at support A. See, for negative bending moment at support A, this is the loading. AB will be loaded with the live load and dead load. This will be loaded with the dead load only. This we are not going to bother. Right. Now for AB, we have to find out the fixed end moments due to total load. For BC, the moment due to dead load only. So this we have to take it from the table. Already we have calculated. Every time this table will be required. Yes. For span AB, it is due to the total load. 120,458 is the value. But we know M of AB is minus 120,458, M of BA is plus 120,458. Coming to span BC, now we are loading only with the dead load. Dead load means we have to consider only 52,500. 52,000. So on the left it is minus 52,500, on the right it is plus 52,500. So these are the values we are going to consider. So 120,458 and 52,500, because this is loaded only with the dead load. And the third value we are not going to consider now. We are going to bother only about spans AB and span BC. Span AB with the total load, span BC with the dead load. So remember these values. Right. Now these are the values. Standard moment distribution table, joint, member, distribution factors. So distribution factors, we have taken the values only for beams. We have not taken for columns. Therefore, here at a joint, the algebraic sum will not be equal to unity. Will not be equal to 1, because we have not tabulated the distribution factors for the column above and the column below. Only when all the 4 values are here, when all the 3 values at joint A, there are 3 members. When all the 3 values are written, it will be equal to 1. So here, only for that member it will be available. So the algebraic sum will not be equal to unity, and also you will not be able to get the algebraic sum to be equal to 0, because the column distribution factors and the column moments we are ignoring here. Therefore, that limitation one has to understand. So otherwise, the table is standard table only, distribution factor. So here we write the moment due to the total load, minus 120,458 and 120,458. Here it is only due to the dead load, minus 52,500 and 52,500. There we have got only one value. Now we know the fixed end moment sign. So left hand side is minus, right hand side is plus. And this we are not considering. You just ignore. Span CD we ignore now. Right. After this, here the most important thing is, we will be doing only 2 cycles of distribution. This is another new point, right? So we will be doing the distribution only for a particular joint or a particular span. But if it is for a 10-paneled frame, we will be writing 5 spans. We will be that span, two spans on the left hand side, two spans on the right hand side. We will be writing down the values for 5 spans. So for all the 5 spans, we need not do the distribution and carryover process. So moment distribution process is easy here, but only thing is the process of remembering what to be written, what not to be written. That is a major work. But of course, nothing wrong in writing all values. Writing all values. Already, a multi-storied, multi-bay frame, we are considering a single floor. Single floor, we are at a time we are considering only 5 panels, whatever may be the number of panels, and then we adopt distribution method, moment distribution method. Moment distribution method also we are not going to do it up to the end. We are going to stop with 2 distributions and 2 carryovers. And in the moment distribution process also, we will not be filling the total table. We will be wasting our time. We are going for a rapid and approximate analysis. Therefore, we need not spend our time in writing all the values. Nothing wrong, but we have to unnecessarily waste. The purpose of the method will be lost. The purpose is you have to do the calculations rapid and find out whatever value you want. So that we have to understand. Therefore, here we are going to concentrate only in the moment at support A. We are going to concentrate only in AB. Only in AB. We need not bother about the moment in CB, moment in BC, etc. now. Therefore, whatever member or whatever moment that contributes to support A, that alone we will do it. That alone we will do it. Now, here we'll balance this. Balance this means now there is only one member here. But we know with AB at joint A, there is one member above AA1, one member below AA2. There are 3 members. But we concentrate on the B, we consider AB only. Right. So, and of course, there is no moment in the column AB or moment AA1 or no moment in column AA2 as it is. We know, that we know, right? No moment in, therefore, that will not be a problem, right? So, minus 120,458 is the only moment in the member AB. There is no moment in AA1, there is no moment in AA2. So, this is the only moment. So, if joint A is to be under equilibrium, the algebraic sum of all the moments at A must be equal to 0. Otherwise, the joint will not be under equilibrium. Therefore, if you want this joint to be under equilibrium, we have to apply plus 120,458 to make it 0. Plus 120,458 to make it 0. And plus 120,458 will have to be provided to the members AB, AA1, AA2. Now we are not bothered about AA1 and AA2. We will concentrate only in AB. So, plus 120,458 plus 120,458 into 0.3 into 0.3. Right. That plus 120,458 distribute to B and C and carry over to A. See, this is the important point. So, we have not written the value here. See, when you distribute to AB, what you have to do is, you have to apply plus 120,458, plus 120,458, the carryover of that value, plus 120,458 into 0.3. That will be the moment that distributed. So, that will cause carryover only to the member BA. Only to the member BA. Therefore, that need not be written. Because we are not bothered about BA. Therefore, there is no need for distributing this moment to AB and then carrying over to this. We are concentrating only in AB. Right. So, therefore, the distribution here is not shown. Not shown. But when we do distribution in B, there are two moments. One is in BA, the other one is in BC. There is a column B, B1 above, B, B2 below. They are not having any moments. Therefore, we need not bother about the moment in column B, B1 or B, B2. Right. There is no fixed end moment. Right. So, the moments are 120,458 minus 52,500. So, this value is to be 0 actually. 120,458 minus 52,500 is the value. Right. So, 124,508 minus 52,500 will be plus value. We have to apply minus value for balancing or for making that value 0. So, that value, that minus value will have to be distributed to member BA and BC. We need not write the value to BA because this is going to cause carryover to CB only, we need not bother. And in BA also, we need not write down the value. Whatever is a carryover, that carryover is minus 7550. The calculations are shown below. Unbalanced moment at joint B is 124,508 minus 52,500 is plus value. So, balancing moment to make it 0 is, this is when this is plus, we have to apply minus 67,958. Minus 67,958 into the distribution factor for this member is 0.2222. 0.2222. So, 0.2222 is equal to minus 15,500. 15,100. So, the 15,100 is to be written below this member BA. That need not be recorded. Therefore, the carryover from BA to AB, this is BA. Now, the carryover to AB equal to minus 7550. So, that is what is written here, minus AB. Therefore, we are not showing the value that is distribution here because that is going to cause carryover only to BA. We are not bothered about BA. And here we just distribute the value, and whatever is the value that is carried over to AB, that alone is recorded. So, this is what is the difficult process, and if that is not a problem, we can write all distribution carryover two times. That also can be written. This will be the one that we have to just remember. So, balancing B, unbalanced moment, then balancing moment. This is unbalanced moment. This is the balancing moment. This is the balancing moment to member BA that is not recorded. So, from BA to AB there is a carryover. That carryover is this value by 2. That is what is recorded here, minus 7550. Right, 50. Then add 2 and 3. Add these two values. Right. Now, these two values. Now, again, this value has to be 0. Therefore, for balancing joint A, now we are concentrating only in joint A. For balancing joint A, we have to apply plus 120,008 to make it 0. Plus 120,008. Therefore, this plus 120,008 into 0.3. 0.3 is 38,402. So, when these two values are added, we get the maximum negative value. So, this is the maximum negative moment at support A, 89,606 kilonewton meter. So, the distribution calculations are shown here. Unbalanced moment minus 128, balancing moment plus 128. 128 into 0.3 is 38,002. So, 38,002. So, and when these two values are added, it is minus 89,606. So, we need not write all the values. Only when we write all the values in the 5 panels that we consider, particular span, 2 span on left hand side, 2 span on the right hand. When you write all values, the method will become tedious. So remembering this requires some practice. So just it will come by practice, because what is required alone is to be written. So the calculations are shown here. The calculations are shown here. You need not record all the calculations, but nothing wrong in recording all the calculations. There is no restriction that you have to write only like this, not like that. So this alone will, when we look at the books, the viewers will find this point only as a difficult point. If this is understood by practice, it will be easier. Therefore, already we have crossed 1 hour. Therefore, let me stop this lecture with this, and we'll continue this problem in the next lecture, because the viewers may not be already have crossed 1 hour. That itself is too much. So therefore, we will stop with this and continue the same problem in the next lecture. Right? So thank you for the patience.